everyone, welcome to Mystifying Miracles. In today's story, I'll be talking about a teenager's car that couldn't stop accelerating. His vehicle was out of control. The question is, could it be stopped before the road ran out? Stay tuned, I'm going to dive into it. Catherine Dutcher had just picked up dinner for her family one evening from a Hardee's fast food restaurant. It was a Tuesday night in September of 2024. And as she's picking up that food, she gets a call from her teenager son by the name of Sam. This was all taking place in rural West Fargo, North Dakota. And that's when the 18-year-old said, "Mom, it's happening again." A week prior to this evening, Sam happened to have been driving his mother's 2022 Pilot SUV. And that's when, a week prior, that the Honda Pilot SUV, well, it seemed to take a mind of its own. Sam had not been pressing the gas that night, and yet the SUV kept speeding up. Up until that night, there were no prior issues, so it was just very bizarre. They did end up taking the car in just to see what the heck caused that. All the diagnostic tests were run at the dealership, and nothing wrong was found. Since it all checked out, there was nothing to fix. Catherine asked her son on that Tuesday evening if he would pick up the car from the dealership while she ran and got dinner for everyone. And so he did. He had been driving home for about 10 minutes, no issues, no problems, when it happened again. He was just a mile from home, and he had been driving on a 2-lane country road. This was happening in Cass County. At first, Sam hit the brakes, but nothing. Tried it a few more times, nothing. So then he hits the emergency brake. Still nothing. He thinks, okay, maybe if I throw the car in reverse. Nothing was working. It was as if the vehicle was calling the shots, and it was terrifying. When his mom got Sam's call, she immediately hung up and dialed 911. At that moment, Sam's car was going 80 miles per hour. Now you may be wondering, why didn't Sam just dial 911? Well, he tried. And unfortunately, when he was using the voice commands, because he had to keep his hands on his wheel, his phone would not dial 911. It said that wasn't in his contacts. So it wouldn't dial it, which is crazy, but okay. So he knew his mother was in his contacts, so voice commanded it to call his mother, and thereby she ends up calling 911. So Catherine's giving all the information she has to police on the phone. Well, there was a deputy by the name of Zach Johnson, and he had been patrolling when he heard the radio call come over. Meanwhile, the Pilot SUV is already up to 90 miles per hour. Also, thank goodness there wasn't a ton of cars on the road. There were some, but it wasn't crazy busy, thank goodness. So there were moments where he had to weave on the shoulder back onto the road a few times to kind of avoid hitting anyone else. This deputy, Zach Johnson, he was way too far away from where Sam was. So he decides to call Sam. When he first heard Sam's voice, he says he was relatively calm. He didn't sound panicked or scared, which shocked the deputy. And they tried to troubleshoot a few problems. He told Sam, maybe your floor mat is holding down part of the gas pedal. But Sam had already checked that prior to, but he double checked it and triple checked it again. But that wasn't the problem. It wasn't the floor mat. Everything they tried to troubleshoot together over the phone, nothing was helping or seeming to be the problem. That's when Deputy Johnson and other officers had to go to the next step. And that would be to toss out spikes and stop sticks. So to try to slow the car down. And timing at this point was so critical because Sam was nearing a small town. He was also, at this point, going over 100 miles per hour. In addition, there was only 8 more miles of road left. There also happened to be a Minnesota state trooper by the name of Zach Groover. That night when he started his shift, it was slow, things were subtle, wasn't a lot of excitement going on. But he heard the call over the radio, and he saw that he was only about 20 miles away from where Sam was. Sam was about 20 ahead of him. The trooper knew time was critical from what he was hearing, so he didn't even bother asking if help was needed. He just took action. He happened to be driving a Charger. It had a V6 engine. Therefore, he could top speeds up to 140 miles per hour if need be. Groover ends up speeding up, passing all the police Tahoes, which I'm not sure how fast those could go, but they couldn't go as fast as the Pilot, and they definitely couldn't go as fast as Groover's Charger. So as he's passing them all up and he's coming up on Sam to pass him up as well, there were now just about 4 miles of road that was left. And in this moment, about this same time, Sam was beginning to struggle big time because his car was going so fast. Sam's thoughts began to creep in because he knew one wrong move, one pothole, one bump, it would be over. And Sam said he was scared because he even had those thoughts of, I'm going to die tonight. Meanwhile, as Groover's passing up all the Tahoes and trying to pass up Sam pretty soon, he's trying to, brainstorm ideas. What can he do to help? He knew that he couldn't bump Sam from behind, like sometimes they do when they're chasing criminals to make them spin out, because Sam's car was going way too fast for that. So that's when Groover came up with the next thing. He was going to try to get directly in front of Sam's vehicle and then start tapping on the brakes, thereby hopefully slowing down Sam's vehicle. There really wasn't any time, any extra seconds or minutes to contemplate, go over the plan, so he just did it. And as he moved in front of Sam's car, that's when it happened, unexpectedly. Sam's Pilot SUV just starts slowing down. It didn't stop, but it slowed. And apparently, his Pilot's forward collision mitigation system, it sensed Groover's Charger ahead of it. So it automatically starts to slow down. However, it was still going. And at one point, Groover said the Pilot got so close to the back of his Charger that he could no longer see Sam's headlights. So to get a better view, Groover glances out his side mirror to try to, see better. And as he's doing that, that's when it happened, the crash. The SUV bumps the back of the Charger, and immediately Groover just stomps on the brakes. And as he's got his foot on the brakes, the Pilot's tires are just continuing to spin, so it's not stopping. It had slowed, but it's still trying to go forward. As this is happening, the other officers in the Tahoes are coming up near the side of Sam's vehicle, and they actually help him exit the side. I'm not sure if it was a door or the window, but they help him, even though the tires are still spinning. Groover's in front with his foot on his brake. They get Sam free of the car to safety. Thank goodness no one was hurt in that whole ordeal, and the whole ordeal itself lasted about 20 minutes. Now, the Pilot SUV did eventually stop accelerating. I'm not sure how long it spun its tires out, but it stopped. In the months following this whole thing, no one ever found out why that happened, what caused it. It was the weirdest thing.
For close to 40 miles, over half an hour just east of Fargo and across the border into Minnesota, the family of auto mechanic student Sam Dutcher says the 18-year-old was terrifyingly powerless behind the wheel of a 2022 Honda Pilot.
I had the initial thought that my kid was probably going to die.
Dutcher says the car's accelerator malfunctioned, speeding up despite all attempts to slow it down.
So he's trying to like either turn off the car or hit the e-brake or the brake, and it's not going.
State Trooper Zach Groover was on duty that night, dash cameras rolling on the chaos.
Sam, he was physically okay, but mentally and emotionally, he was quite shook up from the whole experience. And it was said that for a few weeks after that, he had quite a few nightmares about the situation. And he also didn't want to get back to driving for a few weeks after that as well. But there's no denying that that was definitely a miracle, that no one was hurt, that he was safely, extracted from the vehicle. Hopefully, they got rid of that SUV. I don't think I'd be keeping that one if it was me. But what a crazy story. Let me know what you guys think of this one. Very interesting nonetheless, and definitely miraculous. Thank you guys for watching and listening to these miraculous stories with me. I appreciate you being here, and I hope you guys have a great week. I'm going to see you for the next one.